Hey, what's going on? My name is Henry and this is Breakable Program. Before we start, I wanted to say that this story is a bit outdated, but I think it's still relevant enough since Lawbreakers officially went free to play not too long ago. Bosky Productions is a studio behind Radical Heights and Lawbreakers. It was co-founded by Arjun Brucey and Cliff Bleszinski. Brucey was most notably the development director behind the Killzone series and was a co-founder of Guerrilla Games, the studio that produced that series. After working on that series, he left to go work for EA and Visceral to go work on Battlefield Hardline. Needless to say, Arjun Brucey was a major part of the last generation first-person shooter. Cliff was also a major part of the 7th generation of gaming with titles like Unreal Tournament and Gears of War under his belt. Both Arjun and Cliff were well known in the industry and were both involved in pretty big gaming IPs during their time at different studios. When you thought of Xbox, you thought of Halo and Gears of War. When you thought of PlayStation, you thought of Killzone and Resistance. I wanted to give a quick background on who these guys were and just to acknowledge that they were a huge part of the last gaming console generation. Because back in 2014 when Arjun and Cliff started Bosky, people were generally excited. These were two titans of the gaming industry and they were starting a studio together. You can tell by the title that Bosky is no longer in business. So what happened? The first game that Bosky worked on was Lawbreakers. If you've never heard of it, makes sense because even people that do know about it know it as one of the biggest failures in the gaming industry. Lawbreakers was a fast-paced first-person shooter that was promoted as a team-based competitive high-skill ceiling game. If you think that sounds a lot like Overwatch, you're thinking what most gamers thought. There's such a high saturation of hero-based team shooters that most people just weren't interested in the game. Because of that and the fact that Lawbreakers was originally supposed to launch as a free-to-play title and launched around the same time that Destiny 2 was getting released on PC, and at that same moment Overwatch was at its height in popularity, most people heard of Lawbreakers and thought it was an Overwatch clone or just weren't interested in it. Before the game was released, it hit a peak concurrent player count of 7,000 people on PC during the free open beta, and that was the highest number of concurrent players that Lawbreakers would ever reach. During the launch, it only managed to reach a concurrent player count of 3,000 people, and within 2 months you literally couldn't play the game anymore because there wasn't enough players actually playing it. Little side note right here, personally I really liked the game. It was really fast and there was a lot of verticality that you can't find in other games, and launch day Wraith was the shit before all the nerfs. Anyway, the game was a complete failure. After working on Lawbreakers, Cliff Bleszinski was left by his co-founder Arjun Brucey because he went to go work with Epic Games on Fortnite Battle Royale for mobile. So now Cliff sees that Battle Royale games are taking off and there's money to be made. So in the background, while they are trying to pick up the pieces from Lawbreakers, they begin to work on their own Battle Royale game. The issue is that they sunk so much money into Lawbreakers that it would be almost impossible to create a fully furnished Battle Royale game with the assets that they had left. So instead of making a complete Battle Royale game, they worked as hard as they could for 5 months on something that was barely passable. That game was called Radical Heights and it was marketed as extreme early access to cover up the fact that they didn't have enough time or resources in order to actually make the finished game. The timing, however, could not have been any better for Bosky. The reason why is because the exact day that they decided to release their Battle Royale game, Fortnite was going through server issues. Hundreds of thousands of players weren't able to log in to play Fortnite. One of those players was a Twitch streamer named Ninja. If you never heard of Ninja, he is the largest streamer on Twitch with almost 200 million views on his channel. Ninja's main game on Twitch is Fortnite. I think you can see where this is leading to. Ninja made Radical Heights the biggest game on Twitch for the first time that he played it. Hundreds of thousands of people watched him and immediately jumped on the bandwagon of Radical Heights. However, there was a massive decline when the servers for Fortnite turned back on and he jumped back on it. There was an artificial boost in players because of Ninja, and the game held almost 10,000 concurrent players for a few days. Interest in the game fell, and as of today, it struggles to hold 1,000 concurrent players. All this leads into a tweet that Cliff tweeted a while ago talking about the state of Bosky. As of today, Bosky Productions is effectively no more. 4 years ago, I set out to make a world-class video game studio, and I hired some of the best talent in the video game industry. They worked tirelessly to produce quality products, and while we had our ups and downs, I'd like to think that we had fun doing it. Lawbreakers was a great game that unfortunately failed to gain traction, and in a last-ditch attempt, we scrambled to do our take on a huge Battle Royale game with Radical Heights, which was well received. However, it was too little too late. As for myself, I'm going to take some time off and reflect. I need to focus on myself and family as well as my Aussie, Teddy, who was slowly fading from us. Video games will forever be a part of who I am, and I hope to make something new again someday. However, I need to withdraw and take this time. To those of you who have supported myself and the studio these last 4 years, thank you from the bottom of my heart and everyone who came to work for me. Please note that the servers for Radical Heights will remain up for the near future. Thanks again, Cliff. I think that Bosky made a lot of mistakes while they were in business. I was not a fan of the way that they released Radical Heights and even made a video talking about how bad it was. I thought that Lawbreakers was a fantastic game that no one played. I agree with that. that. I think that most people never gave it a chance and it died because of the stigma. However, if you do want to check it out, Lawbreakers is officially free to play until the servers close in September 14th, and the player base is actually big enough to support actual games. I don't think that anyone is happy to see Boss Key go. I think they had a lot of potential, but it was wasted. I really wanted to see them succeed and make good games, especially with the amount of talent in the studio. Honestly, it's sad to see it go, but 2 games in a row they failed to achieve anything financially groundbreaking. Thanks for watching. I know that E3 is here, so there should be a lot to cover in the near future, and I think the next video we're going to be talking about is the Sony conference, so stay tuned for that. And if you want to support the channel, hit that subscribe button and share the video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Bye. Dab on them haters. I'm sorry. I'll kill myself. Bye.